very brightly colored and it's very loud, and it's fun for a while.
We want to be free to do what we want to do.
Muhammad Ali and Sonny Barger, the president of Hell's Angels.
This is 1095.
I had some Japanese
Lovely.
and some gyoza that was to die for. It was brilliant.
I ordered a. Are we recording? We should record.
Not yet.
We're on. We're recording. So yeah.
Breakfast. I ordered a pizza with the. You can get a message on a pizza now, and the message was "Don't give up," and it was for my son who was at the demonstrations last night in Bangkok, and he came home very sad and depressed. So I ordered a pizza that said "Don't give up." You know what happened? The fucking pizza driver didn't turn up for 50 minutes, so I almost gave up. Pizza said "Don't give up."
That's classic.
But we got it eventually. They called another pizza guy. He found it.
Well, the thought was there, and now the demonstrations today, of course, are going on. I was just looking. There's like 5 separate gatherings of so many thousands around.
One was right around the corner from where we're at now, actually.
So you guys are in. Where are you? Just as way of introduction. So you're obviously you just spent the last few hours working on the script, and you're in a room. What, in Udom Suk or that area? Where are you now?
101/2, which is Udom Suk.
Which is also where the demonstrations are.
Yeah, outside our offices in Think Society. The revolution is afoot.
I just walked to go grab some beers, and there's a lot more traffic than there was a few hours ago. And I heard kids talking in Thai saying, "We're going to the demonstration. We're going to what they call it, Batuang, right? Batuang.
Mob. They used the word
the mob. Yeah, the mob. Yeah, but I mean, basically in Thai, that's where. And it was like a real kind of a party atmosphere of all these Thais going that way. And we're kind of sitting here right on the edge of it right now.
Well, it's just another one of these events in this strange year of 2020, hey? So, hey, look, as obviously, look, writer, director, producer, there's a bunch of different kind of badges to you guys, but I think as a first point in conversation, so just prepping before I jumped on here, I spent an hour and a half finally watching Who's Watching Oliver. So I feel like I need to go and see a shrink now. Massively impressed. Massively impressed, somewhat disturbed. So I was 20 minutes in as well. My girlfriend kind of went, "What are you watching?" And then sat down, couldn't move. She was like kind of fascinated and mortified and disturbed, and just kept saying, this wasn't shown in the Thai theaters, was it? Anyway, just what an awesome project. And Russell, who obviously know, massively impressed with his performance in it. Love the jazz element, music scoring, disturbing movie. But where did it all, where was it born, the idea? Where did it all come from? It's a pretty interesting project and amazingly put together, I think, on a very humble budget, right? Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Long story short, Russell and I were doing a series of short films and like little experimental projects, just personal passion projects that we wanted to do. And I was talking to Russell. I was saying, "What's the next short film we're going to do?" And Russell said, "Fuck making a short film. Let's make a movie. Let's make a feature film." And I just paused and I was like, "Yeah, that's not that much more difficult than what we've been doing already, And we did, I've got cameras and lights and actors and locations. Much of that film was actually shot in the house I was living in at the time when we shot it. And Russell was also living with me down in the maid's quarters. Let's call it the third bedroom. He was in my third bedroom, which is it was a tiny little concrete box down the bottom floor of my house. And so anyway, long story short, we decided to go ahead and we needed to write it. I said, what's the movie gonna be about? We were both pretty obsessed with serial killers. I mean, I've always been fascinated and obsessed with serial killers in that, it's I mean they're largely, they're ordinary people that for somehow they do some extraordinary things, and I would find my own parallels in my own life and my behavior. This somehow matches up with what a serial killer would do, because ultimately a serial killer, well, a serial killer is
Just misunderstood.
well, I think it's the ultimate failure of a human existence, in that you don't get to cultivate and be an active member of a community that is productive, and you're the absolute opposite of what is expected, of one who's a member of the community that's helping to protect and to grow, etc. They do the absolute opposite of what survival would be, and I just find it incredibly fascinating. But I also find, like I said, there are parallels. Like, it's a very dramatic metaphor for my own self-destructive behaviors and decisions that I've made. So I mean that movie it's 100% metaphors for kind of my own philosophical adventures and experience in life, where I really it's about free will in many ways. So the character Oliver, he's not really in control of himself and of his life, and he wants it to be different, and he struggles very hard for it to be different. And I mean, I don't want to give away the film, but I mean, you kind of go on that journey with it. And I also had, I mean, there's a lot of other very personal, little, issues that were also metaphors for the film. But it was incredibly cathartic, and Russell was very passionate about it. And I mean, we imagined a very, very dark place, and then Russell had to go and just be in it and live in it and stay in it for a really long time. And it was I have so much love and respect for what he did, for his dedication and his commitment to that role. And we also we did a lot of homework to try to build more like a psychological profile, and like for it to be, I didn't want it to be, I wanted it to represent and resemble real life. And these are mental illness issues and issues of control, abuse, neglect, that could drive an otherwise very kind-hearted soul into a really dark place, to do a lot of damage to the world.
Well, he did. I mean, he did. It's a good story, and he did an incredibly, disturbingly good job of it. I know Russell. I know Russell. His love is to play drama, not necessarily horror, but frankly, he just really fitted into that so well. And for what you're just saying, I mean, actually, the character is really, completely broken as an individual in many ways, but actually the empathy level that you feel for him because of his awful, ghastly mother. Again, I don't want to ruin I don't want to give the plot away, but it's great. The empathy works. I mean, you're backing him, so yeah.
There was this huge challenge there, was for my protagonist to also be an antagonist at the same time. So he's, to try to make that guy lovable was a lot of work.
I'm sure.
Emotionally very, very heavy experience for all of us making the film, but especially that Russell had to live in that skin for so long. And I think that some of it, to be honest, we knew that in the edit we could kind of move that tipping point to where whether you love him or hate him. And I think that we sort of hit the sweet spot. Some people call it they say that we hit this romantic torture porn sweet spot, which had never been done before Who's Watching Oliver, which was some critical acclaim that we got. And I didn't even know that there was a genre called torture porn until I made
never heard of it, but my girlfriend said this I mean, she said this is horror. She said this is horror porn. So I've not heard of that,
I mean, there's
that
nothing-
genre either. So
If you saw the film, there's actually nothing pornographic. And the horror moments, I mean, we weren't. It wasn't gory violence. A lot of it was. What was it? I don't know. For me, it wasn't that much.
I think it was more. Look, I know some guys who watch some disturbing films. By the way, it's kind of making its way around Pi that people are starting to watch it because I've been talking about my good friend Toby, who's actually the artist who paint both these paintings behind it. I saw him last night. He runs a bar, and he said, "Oh God," you know, he kind of shivered as he explained watching it. And I know he watches every movie out there that's disturbing. So I think the reaction is one you'd have appreciated. And you know, he shivered. And let's face it, that I won't ruin it, but the opening scene and then going up to the just him and the mother scene. I mean, there's some pretty full-on brutal stuff in there. But onto other subjects. So you guys. Obviously, we'll talk about in a minute the stuff you're working on now. How did you? I never actually asked. How did you guys meet? Was it in terms of collaboration and working together? James, obviously, you know, best known as a writer, but also producer on Crazy Medicine, and you know, was it around that project or what? How did you guys
that
get
question
together?
is mostly for James.
Yeah, it should be common folklore, should it not? By
Yeah.
now. It was at W District in 2016 or 2017, and I had a conversation with a producer or financier who wanted to produce a film, Crazy Medicine, and I was looking for the best man, the camera in Bangkok. So that involved looking at lots of films at the shop here, studying different cameramen, and the guy I really wanted wasn't available. So I met Richie.
Oh, what? Thanks. I didn't know that.
No, I lie, I jest. The best cameraman in Bangkok, and we met and had a beer and talked about the Bangkok meat grinder, the whole story of the young journalist woman who comes and loses the plot in Bangkok, as a lot of people do. So we shot that in 2017, and became friends before doing it, pre-production.
Yeah, it was kind of, I think James was like leaving no stone unturned, trying to, make this short film. And he found me through his own network and reached out, and we met. We had some beers, talked about the project, and it was, at the time, it was a job that we were going to do. We had a little bit of funding. It wasn't our own personal passion project. What I liked about it was the first time I was going to be directing something that I didn't write. It wasn't my personal brainchild, and I felt like that was something I wanted to experiment more with to see if what kind of a director I would be if it wasn't my own personal story. So I got to learn a lot through that. And James and I also had some. I think part of what we learned and experienced there lends a lot to this project, because we end up, every day before shooting, and for many days before we started shooting, we would have this very hardcore crash course of rewriting together as a team, where James is, very, plot oriented. He's very, he's incorporated the story very much so, like the whole through line of the story. I get excited about certain details, and also, I'm aware of the logistics of, the time, what we have to deal with, lighting, locations, actors, what they're capable of. But James would be able to. I think we were a good team, because James is always looking at the bigger picture of the story, and where I'm firing I can run really hot with all of the details about what we're going to just be doing that day. So we had fun, and it was a great warm up for doing bigger projects where we've got to stick our creative minds together to create something brilliant, but also working under kind of the constraints that we have with budget, schedule, location, etc. So it's great. I think we can really we can weave and dance and move with demanding projects.
So when you guys
we mostly agree on stuff, when we're working together, and it hasn't been, as far as I was aware, during the set of Crazy Medicine, too much friction, and
No, never.
we both have a similar goal or the vision of the project. So that's
So when you guys collaborate and work together like you are today, which I will ask the question in a minute, but
Yeah.
you know, in terms of the process, you know, Richie, you as a primarily a director but also a writer, James, you as primarily a writer but also a producer. What is the creative process like when you come out of the room today? Do you go off and write, James? Do you do part of it, Richie? What comes out of a day like today when you've been kind of collaborating on a new version of a script?
well, normally, I mean, my favourite time of day is early in the morning, going to travelling around Bangkok on the bus, going to the university, and this is where I have my ideas. And luckily, Richie's a family man now and has a young Stella to look after, so he's up early doing his baby duty. So I'll pop some messages when ideas occur to me, and Richie will pop back. So there'll be this organic communication between us, on perhaps a daily basis, or certainly every few days.
Yeah, we have this brainstorm that's it seems random, except for the fact that it's becoming more of a ritual where it's first thing in the morning. Usually I'm making a bottle for my daughter, she's not even two yet, my toddler, and having coffee, and I'll get a shot. I'll get a message from James or vice versa. We might be talking about the scheduling when we're going to meet, and then James will just launch a bunch of story ideas at me, or not necessarily ideas, but just directions that he knows that we should go based on cultivating our previous sessions. So and then we get a lot done, like in the first couple hours. That's like from 6 to 9 in the morning, and then there's some quiet time to kind of think about it and mull it over, and then when we meet, and yeah, it's been a really nice organic process. I think we both have qualities that, like James completes me in so many ways. As a writer, again, he's great with really keeping his eye on the prize, with keeping the story focused on the plot and making it just making it tighter and more simple. And then I'll throw this these little weaves in there and details, and we both run with it. It's been great. But we don't, if we don't see eye to eye, it's because something's not working, and then we'll have a discussion. And I can be difficult to work with sometimes because everything has to really make sense. It has to be deeply rooted in reality and logic, etc. And I think at the end of the day, James is the same way. But it's about
a formula. Show me the formula. Show me how it works.
Nothing can be convenient and easy, So we're doing things the hard way, because it has to make sense, man. It has to be rooted in logic. I don't want to. We've got the audience's attention for it, and that's such a precious gift. And while we have their attention, I really I don't want to take advantage of it, and I also don't want to lose them with any sort of convenient little just plot points that are I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that. As an audience member, when I'm obsessed with watching films and series, I'm not okay with it either as an audience member. So I think that there's
You say making sense, but the stories don't make sense by their nature, but they have to seem to make sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. There has to be this organic nature to it, at least. But that everything that's happening on the screen, you're sitting down and you're watching a narrative story. So whatever is happening on the screen is all going to be, it's going to affect the plot. It's got to be plot. It's the trajectory is all, for the point of the plot. So, but I like some wild cards here to make it feel more organic, and that you feel like you're just watching real life happening.
Awesome. So, Dark Karma version 14, right?
Will be on 14.
So Dark Karma version 14, obviously. I'm extremely excited, and you guys have been talking about it for a few weeks. You've now I've kind of rudely interrupted a kind of 3.5 hour creative brainstorming session where I've seen you post-it notes all over the boards. I mean, you know, what can you share? I mean, for me, this is the production version 2021. What can you both share? What are you willing to share? I'd love to kind of hear some of the new meat to the story and what you're willing to put out there. So yeah.
There's so many spoilers. I want you to. I don't want to ruin the ride for you. What do you think? Is there some hint of a spoiler?
I think we talked about Troy, trauma, Scott.
Let's talk about him actually. Give us some more insight. Obviously, anyone listening to this will have no idea who that is, and that is presumably that is Mr. Sizemore. But yeah, talk us through a bit of that, what it's all about. Maybe we can, without spoiling any of the plot, we can just talk a bit of character stuff.
Well, I think his role now, especially after today's session, he becomes arguably the most pure character in the most pure and simple character in the film, right?
But also extremely complicated.
Yeah, he's very complicated. You're familiar with my work, so
I am after today, yeah.
Yeah, he's but the thing is about him is kind of like the whole universe is happening to him, you know, and he's not in control, you know, he's really not in control. It's like when you hear if you hear a noise, I mean, where did that noise come from, and why are you paying attention to it? I mean, it's just the universe is happening to you. You're being bombarded, and it really depends on what you decide to pay attention to. That becomes really the nature of your existence, is what you pay attention to, and it's about that. And you see, we find him at a point in his life where he's decided to be more of a pure person, having had a very sordid past that you get glimpses of, very brief glimpses in moments where where I think he's very vulnerable and sharing a piece of a story, never the whole story, but pieces of stories. And so you get the feeling that this guy's been through a lot, and it makes the other characters around him care about him more, which makes the audience care about those characters even more. And we're all saving each other's souls here, and it's nice.
He's an older version of Tim in a way. He's like where Tim is headed. He's had the lifestyle, living in the kind of boiler room investment schemers kind of Bangkok in his heyday, going to pub to pub, bar to bar, pub to pub, woman to woman, you know. So he's been through all that, and also he's had conflict, like literally conflict. He was in Afghanistan. He was in the armed services. He was a soldier. He's suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. He has a tic. You know, there's something not quite right about Troy, but he's ready to help the younger version of himself, who is Tim, to guide him, you know, so he doesn't become quite as messed up as he is himself. So he's the wounded carrying the wounded in the battlefield of Bangkok.
Exactly.
He sounds awesome. A kind of broken mentor that needs to help a broken man. So yeah. And
they end up helping each other. I mean, there's a real buddy vibe here. But you've got, and they're a generation apart. I mean, Tim could be Troy's son, and I mean that's maybe not. I don't know. But that's but even though, I mean, maybe that's the dynamic, and yet they're still buddies. They're buddies, and it's this younger generation that has been absorbing all of this knowledge, especially through our internet platforms, and so Tim's there's a real there's a relationship there that they have that's it's more buddy than father son, because I think that Troy needs Tim as much as Tim needs Troy, and it's nice. It's really nice. And
awesome.
Yeah.
And they both kind of need the bar.
They
But
need
that's
the
all I'm
ball.
saying. I'm saying why.
But they are an odd couple. You know, I mean, you remember the Odd Couple? I mean, that's
I mean, look, as we both, and from a casting point of view, I can just see how this will work and the balance of, I mean, in real life, the real characters that play these characters are quite different, actually, and I think it's going to be a very interesting kind of balance
for sure.
against
I
each
think
other in a
I
good
think
way.
their
So,
art will imitate life, vice versa, and
yeah.
you know, we'll see it playing out throughout the production of the film. Where, I mean, we're not straying too far from reality here. I mean, it's not that they're typecast at all, but it works. The dynamic works. The actors that we cast, it just works. It works on every level. And then we're putting them in this very complicated mess. But you know, they're traversing some treacherous territory.
They're traveling through chaos together, aren't they?
They are
Both seeking their own order.
Awesome. Look, I mean, I can't wait. I'm really excited to read it. I've taken, this was like a kind of power 20-minute pod, and you guys have been working all afternoon. But just before I finish, I just want to ask about, because I just watched your movie, obviously, and I know, I've shot in Bangkok. I mean, what would you say about just generally shooting in Bangkok, location access? I mean, the thing I love about the city is the access to awesome locations. I mean, what's your view just as and James, you as a producer, Richie, you as a director, Bangkok as a place to shoot, Thailand as a place to shoot. What are the pluses and?
Well, personally, for me, you might think.
Oh no.
Personally, for me, I've been working here as a cinematographer, camera operator on anything from a huge Hollywood film to a humble little social documentary. But I have my experience and the history that I have working with certain locations. I know what is within our means and what we have access to. Also, just 20 years here of shooting. Not just in Bangkok, but all over Thailand. I know that, and my relationship with location managers and just with Thailand itself, with Bangkok. There's no shortage of epic locations that we have access to that aren't gonna, they're not gonna cost a fortune, but
whilst writing it as well, we can just say, we can do that there. We should do that over there.
It really helps while you're writing to write within your means or within what your means are. I have a tendency, because as my directing career was all passion projects, really with no budget or my own money. So I would very much write within that. So I think we're doing a similar thing here, but we know we have a little money to spend. So I think we can get some of the locations that would normally be outside of our reach, or at least on a passion project we can execute.
We've got lots of friends.
We have friends.
We have lots of friends.
Deep network of property owners.
A dark network of friends.
The mafia, the government.
Boiler rooms are in. The go-go bars. Weird is the only one.
Yeah.
It's definitely having only shot just the teaser for Dark Karma, but I was just amazed with what you can do in Bangkok. I mean, everything from derelict buildings to rooftop restaurants to go-go bars to, it's just everything. So yeah, it's an awesome place, a lot of color to shoot something. So look, really appreciate you guys giving me a bit of time. I know you've been using your brains all day. So if unless there's anything I didn't ask that you'd like to chat about, happy to kind of sign off. But
I can't. I'm spent. It's 3 or 4 hours.
Well, I bet you are. James, we will do. Let's do a separate pod sometime. Anyway, I'd love to kind of go into, down another track just to talk more about your writing career and your novels and the whole kind of crime area outside of movies. So maybe we can do that at another time.
Just give me a shout whenever. That's fine. Yeah.
Sweet.
Do it again.
Right, chaps.
But you'll be down in Bangkok, I think, for the Halloween event.
I hope so. Yeah, in a couple of weeks for Kate's opening. So yeah, I shall hopefully see you then, and look forward to catching up.
Awesome. Maybe the three of us could all sit down and do a podcast together.
That would be good. Awesome, mate. I shall leave you to your Saturday night. Have a good one.
Thanks, Matt. Cheers,
Take good care. Cheers, man.
Do what we
The
want to
two are
do.
Muhammad Ali and Sonny Barker, the president of the Hells Angels.
This is 1095.